Clean that bathroom properly, you useless brat. If it's not spotless, you won't get dinner tonight. That was what I heard the moment I stepped into my son's house unannounced. My granddaughter, little Martha, only 6 years old, was crying while scrubbing the floor, her tiny hands gripping a rag twice her size. Meanwhile, Carter and Andrew, the two stepchildren of my son Robert's new wife, sat laughing on the couch, watching TV and eating snacks as if nothing was wrong. I froze. That house, I had paid every cent to build it. I wanted my son to have a decent home, a place filled with love, yet he had turned it into a prison for his own daughter while spoiling his wife's sons. My name is Jacqueline Miller, 69 years old. For decades, I believed that being a good mother meant keeping quiet, enduring everything, and giving without expecting anything in return. I thought unconditional love meant swallowing my pride, even when my own child disrespected me. But when I saw my granddaughter cleaning the bathroom while the other two children laughed, I understood a cruel truth. I had raised an abuser, and my silence had nourished that cruelty. Robert had always been difficult, but when Martha was born, I thought fatherhood would change him. Her mother, Robert's first wife, died in an accident when the little girl was just 3. I prayed every night that my son would become a kind, responsible father. Then Sylvia appeared, a clever, calculating woman who married Robert knowing I had money. She came with 2 children, Carter, 10, and Andrew, 8. From day one, she made it clear who the favorites were in that house. Gradually, I noticed Martha growing quieter, more fearful, trying to make herself invisible. But what I saw that day went far beyond anything I had imagined. "Why is my granddaughter cleaning while the others are playing?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Robert looked at me with disdain. "She needs to learn responsibility." The boys already finished their homework. Lies, dirty dishes covered the table, toys were scattered across the floor, and backpacks lay abandoned in the hallway. Martha, 6 years old, was the only one forced to clean. "She's just a child, Robert. She should be playing, not working like a maid." Sylvia stepped out of the kitchen, drying her hands on a towel, forcing a smile. "Oh, Jacqueline, don't overreact. The girl needs discipline. Her mother spoiled her before she died." That sentence hit me like a knife to the chest. I had to fight the urge to lose control. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of my granddaughter sobbing haunted me relentlessly. Then I remembered something. The house was legally mine, not Robert's. When he asked me for help buying it, I had taken the mortgage under my own name but never told him. I wanted him to feel independent, a deadly mistake. The next morning, I went back to that house. This time, I didn't ring the bell. I used the spare key I had kept since the house was built. What I found broke my heart. Martha was standing on a chair, washing breakfast dishes. Her tiny hands trembled as she tried not to drop a plate. Carter and Andrew were eating cereal, watching videos on Sylvia's phone. Robert sat at the table, reading his newspaper like the king of a castle. From the bedroom, Sylvia's voice echoed, "Martha, hurry up and pack your brother's lunches." I stood frozen. Brothers, that's what she called them. But Carter and Andrew weren't Martha's brothers. They were the pampered sons of the woman who had turned my granddaughter into a servant. Martha was preparing lunch boxes, moving nervously. When she put more ham in Carter's than in Andrew's, the boy whined, "Mom, Martha gave Carter more food again." Sylvia stormed downstairs, face twisted in anger. Without a word, she snatched the lunchbox from Martha's hands and dumped it into the sink. "Useless girl. You can't do anything right. That's why your mother died. She couldn't stand having such a stupid daughter." I heard Martha's muffled sobs. Robert didn't even look up from his paper. Sylvia continued, "Now go buy something at school with your birthday money." Birthday money I had given her. I couldn't bear another second. I marched into the kitchen. "What's going on here?" Everyone froze. Robert put down his paper. Sylvia forced a smile. "Jacqueline, you're early." Robert stood up, trying to look authoritative. "Mom, don't overreact. We're just teaching her responsibility." "Responsibility? She's 6 years old. What about the other two? What are their responsibilities watching TV?" No one answered. Martha clung to my skirt, her little voice trembling. "Grandma, I don't want to go to school without lunch." That was the moment I decided. I opened my wallet and handed her some cash. "Here, sweetheart, buy whatever you like at the cafeteria." Robert snatched the money from my hand. "She doesn't need money. We take care of her." "By making her spend her birthday gifts on food?" I shot back. "That's not true," Sylvia interrupted, but her frightened eyes betrayed her. "Martha," I said softly, "last week, where did you get the money for lunch?" The girl hesitated. "From the birthday money you gave me," Miss Sylvia said. "I had to learn to manage it." "Enough!" Robert shouted. "This is my house, Mom. You have no right to interfere. If you don't like it, you can leave." I smiled coldly. "Your house, huh? Are you sure about that?" "Of course. I worked hard for it." "Really?" "Robert, there's something you don't know about this house you love so much." His confident expression vanished. Sylvia tensed. "I'm talking about the mortgage, Robert. The loan is in my name. This house was never yours. It's been mine all along." The room fell silent. Robert stammered, "Why didn't you ever tell me?" "Because I wanted you to feel proud, to believe you'd accomplish something. But I see now, my kindness only made you crueler." Sylvia tried to recover control. "Well, we've been making the payments for years. We have rights." "Rights? To abuse a 6-year-old child? To turn my house into a nightmare for my granddaughter?" I took Martha's hand. "We're leaving, sweetheart. You're coming with me." "You can't take her," Robert yelled. "She's my daughter." "Your daughter, the one you make work like a maid? The one you let your wife insult every day?" He blocked my way, his tone threatening. "You're not going anywhere. This is my house, and you'll follow my rules." "Perfect," I said calmly, pulling out my phone. "If it's your house, then you won't mind me calling the bank." I dialed the number. "Hello, this is Jacqueline Miller. I'd like to cancel the mortgage on the property located at—" "Hang up that phone!" Robert screamed, lunging toward me, but it was already too late. The bank employee confirmed my information. "Mrs. Miller, are you sure you want to cancel the loan? Once the process starts, there's no going back." "I'm absolutely sure. Proceed immediately." Sylvia lunged toward me, screaming, "You're insane! We have children!" "Yes, 3 of them," I said calmly, "but you only care about 2. Robert stood frozen, speechless. "Mom, this has gone too far. We can talk about this." "I've said enough," I cut him off. "How you raised your daughter, how you live your life, that's your consequence. But from this moment on, this house no longer belongs to you." Carter and Andrew began to cry as Sylvia yelled, "Mom, do we have to leave the house?" I took Martha by the hand and walked away without looking back. For the first time in years, I knew I was doing the right thing, not for my son, but for the only child in that house who truly deserved love. Sylvia stood there, stunned, her entire plan for a comfortable life collapsing before her eyes. "This only proves you're a selfish woman, Jacqueline. Someone who never thinks about the consequences of her actions," she hissed. I replied calmly, Selfish? For protecting my granddaughter from abuse? For refusing to let the house I paid for become a torture chamber for a 6-year-old child? Martha still clutched my hand, but this time there was something different in her eyes. For the first time in years, I saw a flicker of hope. "Grandma, does this mean I don't have to clean the bathroom anymore?" she asked, her little voice trembling. That innocent question hit Robert like a slap across the face. He finally spoke, his voice shaking. "Martha, sweetheart, you don't have to clean anything. Daddy just wanted to teach you." "Teach me what, Daddy?" "Teach me that I'm useless like Miss Sylvia says. Teach me that Mommy died because she couldn't stand having a stupid daughter like me." Silence. Robert turned to Sylvia, his eyes burning. "You said that to her? You told her mother died because of her?" Sylvia stammered. "I didn't say it exactly like that." "Oh no?" I interjected. "I heard it with my own ears just minutes ago." Robert buried his face in his hands, pale and trembling. For a brief moment it seemed he finally understood the horror of what he'd allowed. "I was joking," Sylvia blurted out. "Joking?" I snapped. "Calling a 6-year-old useless is a joke? Forcing her to work like a maid, is that also a joke?" Sylvia's mask finally fell away. "That girl needs discipline. Her mother spoiled her rotten. My sons, Carter and Andrew, are well-behaved and responsible." I gave a bitter smile. "Responsible? When was the last time those boys cleaned anything? When was the last time they made their own lunch? Never. They've been spoiled because they have a 6-year-old servant to do everything for them." Sylvia said nothing. "And you," I continued coldly. "You're an abuser, someone who exploited an orphaned child just to have free help. And you dare say I have no right to interfere? I have every right in the world. This is my house, Sylvia. And in my house, no one mistreats a child." Robert tried to intervene. "Mom, please, calm down. We can change." "Change?" I stared straight into his eyes. "After years of abusing your daughter, turning her into a servant now, you talk about change?" I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. The dirty dishes my granddaughter had washed, the chair she stood on to reach the sink, her tiny cracked hands. Sylvia panicked. "What are you doing?" "Documenting evidence, because this doesn't end here." "Evidence of what?" "Child abuse, neglect, psychological cruelty." Robert went pale. "Mom, you can't be serious." "I'm dead serious." "Do you really think I'll let my granddaughter live like this another day?" I lifted Martha into my arms. She trembled like a frightened kitten. "We're leaving, sweetheart." "You're coming home with me," Robert shouted. "You can't take her. She's my daughter." "Yes, your daughter, but you've never acted like a father. A real father protects his child. He doesn't turn her into a slave." I headed toward the door. Robert followed, desperate. "Mom, please, don't do this." "I promise I'll change." I stopped and looked straight into his eyes. In that moment, I saw both the boy I once loved and the man he had become, and it broke my heart. "The saddest thing, Robert," I said softly, "is that your daughter will grow up remembering that it was her grandmother who had to rescue her from her own father." I walked out, holding Martha tightly in my arms. Behind me, I heard Sylvia's screaming, Robert's sobbing, but I didn't turn back. The real battle began that very afternoon. As Martha napped in my apartment, the first peaceful sleep she'd had in years, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Robert kept calling, switching between pleading and threats. "Mom, please, bring her back. Sylvia's losing her mind." "Good. Learn to live with the consequences of your actions, Robert. But you're my mother. You're supposed to support me. I'm your mother, not your accomplice, and I will never, ever be complicit in child abuse." I hung up. A minute later, the phone rang again. It was Sylvia. "Jacqueline, you're committing kidnapping. I'll call the police." "Go ahead," I replied. "It'll be interesting to see their faces when they find out a 6-year-old has cracked hands from cleaning chemicals." Silence. I knew she understood the law was not on her side. "There's one more thing, Sylvia," I added. "You're going to love this." I opened my recording app. For weeks, I had secretly recorded every visit to Robert's house, the yelling, the crying, the laughter of those 2 boys as my granddaughter was humiliated. "What is that?" Sylvia asked, her voice trembling. "Your voice telling a 6-year-old she's useless and that her mother died because of her. Would you like the entire neighborhood to hear it?" "You recorded us?" "Of course. When a grandmother suspects her grandchild is being abused, she takes precautions. And I have hours of recordings, Sylvia." I ended the call and set the phone to silent. I needed to think clearly and plan my next steps. While preparing dinner for Martha, I thought about all the years I had turned a blind eye. The signs had always been there, the dark circles under her eyes, her strange quietness, the way she flinched when someone raised their voice. I had seen it all, yet I told myself lies. She's just shy. She's grieving. Kids are dramatic sometimes. How stupid. How blind. How cowardly. When Martha woke up, she walked into the kitchen, her big eyes still uncertain. "Grandma, do I need to help you cook?" "No, sweetheart," I smiled. "You just need to be a child play. Laugh, learn, and love. That's all." She stood there, confused, as if she couldn't grasp the idea of having no obligations. "But who's going to clean up?" "I will," I said gently. "Adults clean, children play." "And if you don't clean well, Grandma, will you get punished?" That question pierced through my heart like a knife. I knelt down and held her tiny hands. "Listen to me, sweetheart. Never ever will I punish you for not cleaning. I will never yell at you. I will never call you useless. And I will never let anyone do that to you again." For the first time, I saw a real smile on my granddaughter's face. That night, after putting Martha to bed, I called attorney Ismael Thompson, an old friend of my late husband. "Jacqueline, it's been a long time. What can I help you with?" I told him everything, the abuse, the recordings, and the cancellation of the house loan. Ismael was silent for a moment. "This is a complicated situation. Robert is her biological father, but you have substantial evidence of abuse. Those recordings are crucial. I believe we can fight for custody." "Really?" "It's possible. We'll need psychological evaluations for both the child and the home environment. Keep documenting everything changes in behavior, signs of injury, statements from neighbors, if any." "Neighbors?" I thought to myself. Maybe they've heard something. "Good," he continued. "Tomorrow we'll begin the legal process." "Don't worry, Jacqueline. We'll protect Martha." I sat in the living room, gazing toward the bedroom where Martha slept peacefully. I knew the road ahead would be long and full of tears, but I had no other choice. Around 10 p.m., I heard a blow. Noise at the door, someone was trying to unlock it. My heart pounded. Then I remembered, Robert still had a spare key. The door burst open. Robert stormed in like a hurricane. Sylvia right behind him, both of their faces pale with desperation. "Where's my daughter?" Robert shouted. "Probably cleaning your floors right about now. Isn't that what you'd prefer?" I said coldly. "Don't lie, Mom." I picked up my phone and played the recording. Robert's voice filled the room. "Clean the bathroom, you useless brat, or no dinner tonight." Silence. Robert dropped onto the couch, his face ghost white. I I didn't mean it. I was just stressed from work. Stress gives you the right to abuse a 6-year-old? I asked. Sylvia screamed. This is all your fault. You spoiled her. You made her this way. Oh, you mean teaching her that she deserves respect is spoiling her? I replied. She needs discipline. Calling her useless is discipline. Comparing her to her dead mother is discipline. Robert's eyes filled with tears. Mom, please, give us another chance. I can change. Change? Where were you for the past 3 years while my granddaughter was treated like a servant in the house I paid for? Just then, a small voice came from the hallway. Grandma, why is everyone yelling? Martha rubbed her sleepy eyes. When she saw Robert and Sylvia, she hid behind me, trembling. I don't want to go home, Grandma. Please don't make me go back. Everything stopped. Robert froze, staring at his daughter in disbelief. Martha, sweetheart, it's Daddy, he said, his voice breaking. But the little girl only clung tighter to me, sobbing. I don't want to clean the bathroom anymore. I don't want Sylvia to yell at me. And in that moment, Robert understood that he had lost the most precious thing in his life. I don't want to be useless anymore, Martha whispered. Sylvia completely lost control. See, Jacqueline? You've brainwashed her against us. I stared straight at her. Brainwashed? She's repeating your exact words, the ones I recorded on my phone. Robert knelt in front of his daughter, but Martha shrank away, hiding behind me. Sweetheart, Daddy didn't mean to hurt you. Daddy loves you very much. Love me? You made me clean while Carter and Andrew played, she said, her innocent tone cutting through the room like a blade. Robert knew every excuse had just died in his throat. Come here, Martha, Sylvia barked in her usual commanding tone. Stop acting like a victim. Immediately, Martha burst into tears, shaking violently as she hid behind me. Enough, Sylvia, I shouted. Can't you see how terrified she is? Do you even understand what you've done to her? She's faking it. She just wants your sympathy, Sylvia screamed back. At that moment, Ismail Thompson, my attorney, appeared at the door, using the spare key I had given him for emergencies. Sorry for the interruption, he said calmly. I heard shouting in the hallway and was concerned for the child's safety. Who are you? Robert demanded, jumping up. I'm Ismail Thompson, Mrs. Jacqueline's lawyer and a witness to what I've just seen. Sylvia went pale when she realized a lawyer had heard her yelling at a 6-year-old child. This is a setup, she hissed. No, ma'am, Ismail replied. This is evidence documentation of a pattern of child abuse under active investigation. Robert turned to me, voice trembling. Mom, you've already filed a case? Of course, I said. Did you really think I'd let my granddaughter keep living in that hell? Ismail approached Martha gently. Hi there, sweetheart. You must be Martha, right? I'm a friend of your grandma's. Can you tell me how you feel when you're at home with your dad and Sylvia? Martha. I looked up, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm scared. I'm always scared. I'll do something wrong and they'll yell at me. And how do you feel when you're with your grandma? He asked softly. I feel safe. Nobody makes me clean. Nobody yells at me. Ismail noted every word. Each answer was a vital piece of evidence. This is manipulation, Sylvia shrieked. You're filling her head with lies. Ma'am, Ismail said coolly, I suggest you lower your voice. Anything you say right now can be used in court. Robert sank into the couch, holding his head. Mom, this is getting out of control. I just wanted Martha to learn responsibility. She's not even 8, Robert. She's 6. The only responsibility she has is to be happy. I just wanted her to be disciplined, Sylvia snapped. You call discipline telling her her mother died because she couldn't stand having a stupid daughter? I asked icily. Even Ismael was stunned. You actually said that to a child? He asked. I have it on recording, I confirmed. Ismael nodded. That's severe psychological abuse. I can request an emergency protection order for the girl immediately. Robert stood up, shaking. Enough, Martha, we're going home. But as he moved closer, Martha screamed, trembling uncontrollably. No, I don't want to. Grandma, don't let them take me. Her fear was so raw, so real, that even Robert froze. Ismael intervened. You see, sir? The child is showing clear signs of trauma. Forcing her back into that environment would cause even greater harm. Robert protested weakly. But she's my daughter. And I said firmly, am the only one who has protected her until now. Sylvia, desperate, lashed out. Robert, if you don't bring that girl back, I'll take Carter and Andrew and leave you all alone. Do you really want to lose your entire family? The room went silent. Everyone waited to see what Robert would choose. He looked at Martha, still trembling behind me, then turned to Sylvia, who stood there with her arms crossed, waiting. Sylvia, Martha isn't a bad child. She's my daughter. And if you can't accept that, then maybe. Maybe what? Sylvia snapped. Maybe the problem isn't Martha, it's you. For the first time in years, I saw a flicker of decency left in my son, but Sylvia wasn't ready to give up. Fine, she sneered. Tomorrow I'll move out with my boys. When you're left alone, no house, no wife, no family, you'll remember this moment. No house? Robert asked, confused. Ismael smiled faintly. Didn't they tell you, Sylvia? The bank has already started foreclosure proceedings. You have exactly 28 days to vacate. Sylvia's face went pale. Her entire plan collapsed in a single instant. That's illegal, she stammered. Perfectly legal, Ismael replied. The property is under Mrs. Jacqueline's name. She has full authority to cancel the mortgage. Robert turned to me, his face filled with fear and regret. Mom, you've ruined my life. Quietly, I answered. No, son. You ruined your own life when you chose to hurt your daughter. I just stopped being your accomplice. The following days were pure chaos. Robert and Sylvia returned to the foreclosed house, now filled with tension and resentment. Deprived of someone to dominate, Sylvia turned her anger on Robert. This is all your fault. If you had controlled your mother and that brat, we wouldn't have lost everything. Rumors began to spread. One afternoon, our neighbor, Mrs. Celia, came to see me, her face grave. Jacqueline, I need to tell you something. For months, I've been hearing crying from next door, but I thought it was just the kids being fussy. What did you hear? I asked. A tiny voice saying, I can't do it. It's too heavy. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. And once, I heard Sylvia shouting, Your mother died because God got tired of watching you be so useless. I stood frozen. Every word cut like a knife, but they were also undeniable evidence. Meanwhile, Martha began to blossom in my apartment. Within just a week, she was a different child, laughing, playing, asking questions. Grandma, can I help you cook? Of course, sweetheart, but only if you want to, not because you have to. What's the difference, Grandma? There's a big difference, dear. When you want to, it makes you happy. When you're forced to, it makes you afraid. Then I want to help you because I like being near you. Her words made my throat tighten with emotion. The legal process moved quickly. Ismael filed for an emergency protective order, and the court temporarily granted me custody of Martha. One night, Robert came to my door alone, his eyes red and tired. Mom, Sylvia's gone. She took the boys with her. I'm alone in that empty house, just waiting to be evicted. I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. I sighed. Mistakes come with a price. I know. But I want to fix it. I can change. I want to be a real father. I looked at my son, the man I once believed was good. Do you know what your biggest mistake was? Letting Sylvia abuse her? No. Joining her. You yelled at Martha. You called her useless. You let her spend her birthday money on food. Don't you dare blame Sylvia. Robert lowered his head, voice trembling. Mom, can you ever forgive me? Forgiveness is between you and your conscience. Custody, however, is between the judge and the evidence. The next day, something unexpected happened. Robert posted a confession video online. Hello, I'm Robert Miller. I need to confess something that has haunted me for years. For the past 3 years, I allowed my wife to abuse my daughter, and I participated in. The video shocked the entire town. There's no excuse, he continued. My daughter, Martha, was turned into a servant in her own home. She was forced to cook, clean, and serve other children. My mother, Jacqueline, tried to protect her while I treated her like a meddler. Now I understand she was the only responsible adult in this story. The video spread everywhere. The comments flooded in. The grandmother is a hero. How could anyone treat their own child that way? God bless that little girl, Martha. But along with praise came danger. Many people found my address saying they wanted to help. Ismael called me right away. Jacqueline, you need to leave the house for now. Robert's video was brave, but now you and Martha are the center of attention. I'm worried about your safety. That afternoon, as I packed our things to move into a small hotel, Martha tugged at my sleeve. Grandma, does Daddy still love me? I squeezed her hand gently. Of course he does, sweetheart. He lost his way, but he's trying to find it again. So, will I have to live with him again? Her question caught in my throat. I stroked her hair softly. I don't know, darling, but no matter what happens, I promise I'll never let you be afraid again. I looked at Martha and said quietly, This will be up to the court, sweetheart. The judge will decide what's best for a child. If they say you must go back to your father, then you will, but I promise I'll always be watching over you. You'll never be alone again. Martha hugged me tightly, and in that embrace, I felt the weight of everything I carried. I hadn't just saved my granddaughter from abuse, I had unknowingly unleashed a media storm that could destroy what was left of our family. But as I felt those tiny arms around my neck, I knew I'd made the right choice, even if the price was the collapse of every blood tie I had. Within just 2 days, Robert's confession video went viral. Reporters surrounded the hotel where Martha and I were staying. Journalists camped in the lobby. TV networks fought for exclusive interviews. Online hashtags spread everywhere. Number Justice for Martha and Number Hero Grandmother. But with support came waves of hate. Some women defended Sylvia, claiming I had exaggerated everything. Some men attacked Robert, calling him a traitor to his wife. The hotel phone rang endlessly, journalists, filmmakers, and strangers who claimed they wanted to tell my story. Grandma, why are there so many people outside? Martha asked curiously, peeking through the window. Because, sweetheart, your story has reached many people now. Is being famous bad, Grandma? It's not bad, but it's complicated, so we'll stay here for a while until things calm down. That evening, Ismael arrived, looking serious. Jacqueline, there's a problem. Sylvia has hired a lawyer and is fighting back. Fighting back, but we have all the evidence. Their strategy is clever and dangerous. Sylvia is claiming you staged everything, that the recordings were manipulated, and that you brainwashed Martha into lying. I was stunned. How shameless. After all those years of tormenting a child, now she's playing the victim. Ismael sighed. That's not all. Sylvia has gone on television. She's painting herself as a poor, misunderstood stepmother who's been falsely accused. That evening, I turned on the TV. Sylvia appeared elegantly dressed, perfectly made up, her voice trembling with pain. Martha was a very difficult child. Ever since I married Robert, she refused to accept me. I only tried to help her overcome the loss of her mother, she said, tears glistening in her eyes. I clenched my fists. Lies, I muttered. A reporter asked. And what about the recordings where your voice can clearly be heard yelling at the child? They were edited. Jacqueline is a very clever woman. She knows how to manipulate technology. Liar! I shouted at the screen. Martha ran over, worried. Grandma, am I really bad like she said? I knelt down, holding her tiny hands. No, Martha, you've never been bad. You're a kind, sweet, and loving child. Sylvia is lying because she's afraid of facing the truth. If the court finds her guilty of abuse, she'll have to pay for what she's done. And what about Daddy? She asked softly, and my heart tightened. I didn't know how to explain a complicated legal system to a 6-year-old. I don't know, sweetheart, but I promise I'll never let anyone hurt you again. The next morning, Ismael came with more bad news. Sylvia's lawyer has requested an emergency hearing. They want an independent child psychologist to evaluate Martha to see if she's been influenced by you. Is that bad? I asked. It could be tricky. If the psychologist says the child was influenced, they'll use that against us. I was silent. But Martha is telling the truth. I know, but children are often seen as repeating what adults tell them. That's going to be their main argument. That afternoon, the phone rang. It was Robert. Mom, I need to see you. It's urgent. What happened? Sylvia threatened me. She said if I don't withdraw my confession, she'll sue me for defamation. What did you tell her? I told her to go to hell, but I'm scared, Mom. Her lawyer says they can prove you forced me to record that video. Robert, do you regret telling the truth? No, I just regret saying it so late. Then don't back down. The truth always wins. There's more, he said, his voice trembling. Sylvia hired a PR firm. They're launching a campaign to destroy your reputation to make you look like a jealous woman who tore a happy family apart. I sighed. Let them talk. My conscience is clear. No, you don't understand, Mom. These people know how to control public opinion. In a few days, everyone will believe you're the villain. That night, I went online to see for myself. And just as Robert said, the articles were everywhere. Cruel grandmother tears apart a happy family. Jacqueline, the bitter woman hiding behind a hero's mask. Psychologist says, the child may have been coached to lie. The same people who once defended me were now turning against me. Old women always want to control their kids and grandkids. Poor Sylvia. She's being slandered. Who knows if that woman is even telling the truth? Reading those words, my heart sank. Martha noticed the sadness on my face. Grandma, are you sad because people are saying bad things about you? It's okay, sweetheart. They just don't know the whole story yet. But I do, because Carter sent me a message. I froze. What? How? On the tablet. He said his mom is going to make the police arrest you for lying. I grabbed the tablet. The message was right there. Martha will come home soon and pay for all the lies she told. A chill ran down my spine. Sylvia was using her own son to threaten a 6-year-old child. That was the last straw. I called Ismael immediately. "We're fighting back. I want a public press conference." "Are you sure?" "Sylvia's media campaign is strong. Going public now could be risky." "That's exactly why I need to speak. People have only heard half the story. It's time they know the truth." I laid out the plan. "We'll release everything, the original unedited recordings, the neighbors' statements, and the medical report about Martha's cracked hands." Ismail nodded. "I'll handle the press. Tomorrow morning." That night, as I was organizing the documents, my phone rang. It was Mrs. Marta, our former neighbor. "Jacqueline, I saw Sylvia on TV, and I just couldn't stay quiet. I have something that can help you." "What is it?" "Security camera footage from my house. It shows the little girl cleaning the yard while those two boys are playing in the pool." My heart pounded. "Oh my God, why didn't you tell me sooner?" I didn't realize how important it was until I saw that woman lying on TV. I went through my old hard drive. I have recordings from the past 6 months. When she arrived at the hotel with the USB drive, my hands trembled as I plugged it in. On the screen, Martha was dragging a hose twice her size under the blazing sun while Carter and Andrew splashed and laughed in the pool. In another clip, she was balancing on a shaky chair to hang laundry, nearly falling. "This is gold," Ismail said. "They can't deny this." "Mrs." Marta added. "There's more. Listen closely, and you'll hear Sylvia shouting from the window, 'Move faster, you lazy brat. If you're not done before 5 o'clock, no dinner for you.'" "What time was this recorded?" Ismail asked. "Around 2 p.m. on a Saturday, a 6-year-old working under the sun while the others play. We scheduled the press conference for the next day." Ismail invited all major news outlets, promising never-before-seen evidence. That evening, Robert showed up at the hotel again, looking exhausted. "Mom, Sylvia's gone insane. She says if I don't claim you forced me to record that video, she'll destroy you completely." "Let her try. I'm not afraid anymore." "I am, Mom. I'm scared for Martha. She's going to get caught in all this." "Now you're scared, Robert? Where were you when she was scrubbing floors with those tiny hands?" Robert sank into a chair, his voice breaking. "You're right. I was weak and cruel, but I'll make it right. Tomorrow I'll stand beside you and confirm everything." I placed my hand on his shoulder. "Good. And if Sylvia follows through on her threats, what's the worst that can happen? I'll lose my reputation. What does reputation matter when you've already lost your integrity? Hold on to the one thing left that's worth saving, your daughter." The next morning, the hotel's conference room was packed with reporters, cameras, and flashing lights. Ismail had prepared everything carefully, evidence organized by date and detail. I stepped up to the podium, my heart racing but my voice steady. "Good morning. My name is Jacqueline Miller. In the past few days, too many lies have been told about me and my granddaughter. Today you'll hear the full truth, no edits, no embellishments, just the truth." I began the conference by playing the first recording, Sylvia's voice, loud and cruel, berating and humiliating Martha. Then I showed the security footage our neighbor had provided. The entire room fell silent. "What you're seeing here is my granddaughter, only 6 years old, doing housework like a maid, while the other children in the same house play freely," I said, my voice trembling. Some reporters looked down, uneasy, while others scribbled notes furiously. One female journalist asked, "Why did you wait so long to intervene?" I took a deep breath. Because I believed my son's excuses, because I wanted to believe I was exaggerating, because I was afraid to face the truth. I paused, my tone heavy. "That was my greatest mistake, and I will live with it for the rest of my life." Another reporter asked, "Is it true you canceled the house loan out of revenge?" I answered directly, I canceled it because I couldn't let my money sustain a home where my granddaughter was being abused. I refused to be a financial accomplice to child abuse. Then came the hardest moment. Ismail played the recording of Sylvia telling Martha, "Your mother died because she couldn't stand having such a stupid daughter." Gasps filled the room. One female reporter covered her mouth, visibly shaken and in tears. "Those were the exact words Sylvia Miller said to my 6-year-old granddaughter," I declared. "Can anyone here call that discipline?" From the back of the room, Robert stood up. "I confirm that everything my mother said is true," he said loudly, his voice steady. "I allowed the abuse to happen. I was an accomplice. Now I'll do everything I can to make it right." Camera flashes exploded, and reporters murmured in shock. One asked, "Mr. Miller, was your online confession video voluntary?" "No, it was a late confession," Robert replied. "I should have protected my daughter from day one." "And where is Sylvia Miller now?" another reporter asked. "Probably watching this press conference, thinking up more lies," I said. "But it doesn't matter anymore. The truth is here, recorded, proven, and undeniable." The conference ended under a storm of flashing lights. My heart was still pounding as I stepped down from the stage. That night, every evening newscast opened with our story. The hashtags number Justice for Martha and number Hero Grandmother flooded social media. Public opinion shifted completely. "How dare that woman deny the evidence?" One comment read, "That poor little girl. Thank God she has her grandmother to protect her. That woman Sylvia belongs in jail." But I knew the storm wasn't over yet. Sylvia was dangerous, and people like her never surrender easily. 2 days later, Ismail called me, his voice panicked. "Jacqueline, Sylvia has kidnapped Carter and Andrew. She disappeared last night and left a note." "What does the note say?" I asked, my throat tightening. "If you don't withdraw your lawsuit and hand Martha over, you'll never see those boys again." A chill ran through me. A woman cruel enough to abuse a child was crazy enough to use her own children as hostages. "Ismail continued, "the police have issued a nationwide alert. But you know Sylvia better than anyone. Where do you think she'd hide?" I remembered something Sylvia once said. "My sister has a house out in the countryside. No one knows about it. Tell the police to check the home of Enrique Miller, Sylvia's brother, on the outskirts of Denver," I said. 3 hours later, the call we had been waiting for finally came. "The police found Sylvia. She's barricaded inside her brother's house. The boys are safe, but she's threatening to hurt herself if anyone gets close." Ismail turned to me. "She says she'll only talk to you. The police will be present, but you're not obligated to do this." I looked at Martha sitting on the hotel bed, laughing and playing with her dolls. A child finally free after years of fear. "No," I said softly. "It's time to end this." When I arrived, the cabin was surrounded by police cars, ambulances, and news cameras. I was taken into a nearby room where the officers had already connected a phone line. "Hello, Sylvia." "Jacqueline," her voice cracked. "Do you see what you've done? You ruined my life. You destroyed my family." "No, Sylvia. You destroyed everything yourself when you abused an innocent child." She hated me. She always tried to drive me crazy. "Sylvia, when you came into her life, she was only 3 years old, a baby who had just lost her mother." "No, you trained her to hate me," Sylvia shouted. I took a deep breath. "Listen to me, Sylvia. Carter and Andrew don't deserve to be caught up in this. Let them go, and you and I will talk alone. They're all I have left after you took everything from me. No one wants to take your children, but if you hurt them, you'll lose everything, including your freedom. If you surrender now, I promise I'll help you get supervised visits." There was a long, suffocating silence. I heard soft sobs. Then Carter's small voice came through the phone. "Miss Jacqueline, my mom's been crying a lot. She says it's all Martha's fault." "No, Carter, it's not anyone's fault except the adults. You and your brother did nothing wrong." "Did we do bad things to Martha?" he asked shakily. My throat tightened. "Yes, you hurt her, but because the adults told you to. Now you can make it right by walking out of there." He turned and said to his mother, "Mom, Miss Jacqueline said if we say sorry, Martha will forgive us. Give me that phone." Sylvia shouted, then went silent for a while. When she spoke again, her voice trembled. "Is that true, Jacqueline? Can that little girl forgive me?" "Martha is 6 years old, Sylvia. Her heart is full of love, but first you have to make sure your sons are safe." Another long pause. "Then I'll have to go to jail, won't I?" "Maybe. But at least your children will remember that, in the end, their mother did the right thing." For the first time, I heard something in Sylvia's voice that resembled real remorse. I thought I was doing the right thing. I believed the girl needed discipline." "No, Sylvia," I interrupted gently. "There's no kind of discipline that justifies hurting a child. Jacqueline, tell Martha I wasn't always bad. Tell her that once I really tried to love her. I will, but only if you do the right thing. Right now." Silence. Then Sylvia's voice broke. "Okay, I'll come out with the boys." 20 minutes later, Sylvia appeared at the doorway, holding Carter and Andrew by the hands. The boys ran toward the police officers, and Sylvia raised her hands in surrender. When our eyes met, I saw no hatred, only the acceptance of defeat and a faint, belated trace of regret. 6 months later, the court granted me permanent custody of Martha. Robert was allowed supervised weekend visits. Sylvia was sentenced to 3 years in prison, 2 for child abuse and 1 for kidnapping her own children. Now, as I write these words, Martha is playing in the garden with her dolls, laughing like a child should. Her little hands are no longer cracked from cleaning chemicals. Her eyes no longer hold fear, only joy and curiosity. Robert still visited every Saturday, attending therapy sessions and slowly learning how to be a father again. Carter and Andrew lived with their aunt, a kind, calm woman, much gentler than Sylvia. They came to play with Martha once a month, gradually becoming normal children again. One evening during dinner, Martha looked up and asked, "Grandma, do you think Sylvia can become a good person?" I smiled. "I don't know, sweetheart, but I hope she learns something." I wrote her a letter. I forgave her because Carter asked me to. I froze. My 7-year-old granddaughter had more forgiveness in her heart than most adults ever could. "Did she write back?" I asked. "Yes. She said that in prison she learned that children shouldn't work like adults, and she apologized for making me cry." That night, as I wrote the final lines in my journal, I realized I had lost so much: my son, my peace, and I had faced criticism and misunderstanding. But I had saved my granddaughter, giving her back her childhood, her dignity, and the unconditional love every child deserves, and I had no regrets, none at all. I only regret one thing that I didn't understand sooner. Kindness should never come at the cost of self-destruction. I learned that protecting an innocent child is worth more than anything else, even if it means shattering everything you once believed about family love. Some battles aren't fought out of hatred, but out of love. And true love, the kind that protects and restores dignity, always finds a way to win. Jacqueline Miller. Sometimes, Real love isn't found in sweet words, but in the courage to stand up for what's right, even when it costs you everything you once cherished. Jacqueline lost many things: her reputation, her peace, even part of her family, but in return, she saved her granddaughter's childhood and her dignity. This story isn't just about a grandmother and her grandchild. It's a reminder that family doesn't always mean safety, and that kindness must have boundaries so it doesn't become weakness. What about you? If you were in Jacqueline's place, would you have the courage to do the same, to risk everything for an innocent child? Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay with us as we continue to listen, reflect, and learn together about love, forgiveness, and the power of compassion.